Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jamie Martin with the very latest on what's going on with Hurricane Ida. We're still watching Ida very carefully. Ida's still getting its act together, shall we say. Basically waiting for it to really start to strengthen here as we head through the rest of today and especially into tonight and early on Sunday as it goes over some of the really, really warm waters. Those warm water eddies are just in advance of it. So it's going to start to accelerate a little bit more in terms of strength. And of course, everybody wants to know when is it going to hit? Where is it going to hit? And again, this is just a prediction when we are talking about this. It doesn't mean it's definitely going to go into a certain spot. However, the best chance, unfortunately, for right now, looks like it will be in the southern parts here around Louisiana, just off to the southwest, in fact, of New Orleans. So again, we're going to be talking about that coming up. We're already seeing a lot of people actually checking in right now. We have even some folks that are in northern spots from Maryland. We have some folks in Texas that are also checking it out. Unfortunately, saying they're praying for the people that are just over to their neighbors. In fact, they're going to see huge problems out there. In fact, we're talking about problems all the way over to the Florida Panhandle because of the surge and everything. We're going to talk about that coming up in just a moment. So again, we have a lot of folks out there. Some folks from Florida. Again, Carol from Florida is checking out right now. And so, yeah, we got a lot of people. A bunch of cars being packed from Louisiana and Mississippi are moving in there. Again, right around Gardner, Earth Guys. So again, we are talking about a lot of folks already paying a big amount of attention to the storm as it moves its way a little bit closer. Here's the map. Got to have this. Got to keep this with you. You can have a big, huge iPad like this. Yes, I like this because it can read it a lot better than I can with my phone. However, if you have it on your phone, keep it with you at all times because you want to be aware of that. Besides that, we even have some problems up in the upper plain states with some strong thunderstorms today, too. So a ton of weather going on, that's for sure. We're going to concentrate, though, on what's going on with Ida because this is something that everyone's going to be watching and could be really huge problems. We have, of course, Aaron's down there, our spotter. Once again, he's out there. He's chasing for us. Aaron's going to be checking with us later on today. He's right now checking out, of course, I'm sure what he's seeing because he actually arrived in New Orleans yesterday. So what he's basically seeing is people being evacuated. Part of it is a mandatory evacuation. Part of it's in involuntary one, or voluntary and not voluntary. That's a mandatory one. A lot of folks are under that mandatory one, so you want to make sure you leave with enough time. And again, a lot of folks are leaving. They are evacuating right now. Something that bears watching, that is for sure. We're talking about a very strong storm. But again, we have to watch this where it's moving over the next 12 to 24 hours before it even makes landfall and then causes all the problems with that wind really causing destruction in those locations. So let's check it out right now with the app, show you what's going on right now and give you the very latest that we have as far as the conditions are concerned of what's going on. So again, we're looking at the center of circulation right back here through here. And again, we're going to watch it very carefully. This is Ida. As you can see, winds about 85 miles per hour. We are expecting it to be a lot stronger, though, as we continue, again, through the next 12 to 24 hours. We're talking about winds probably going to be sustained, possibly 130, 140, possibly. So it could go from a Cat 3 even up to a Category 4 for a short period of time before it does make landfall. So again, this is one we're going to have to watch carefully as it moves. Hopefully it slows down, maybe loses a little bit of its punch before it does get onshore. But even before it gets there, we're going to have bands, lots of bands of showers. And again, all the rain, all that wind is going to be just solidifying and moving right on across the Gulf Coast. And again, even over towards Pensacola, these are going to cause big problems out there as far as the surge is concerned. Let me get back and do this again here. Again, I really can't stress just how powerful this storm is going to be and how dangerous it's going to be. Even if it were a Category 1, it's still very dangerous. As a Category 3 or 4, it's even more devastating, so you got to be very aware of what's going on. Moving to the northwest at 15, 16 miles per hour, so averaging about the same that it was last night, about 11 o'clock last night looking at it. So the pressure beginning to drop, though, 984 millibars. We're expecting it to drop continually over the daytime hours today. So, again, that's what we're looking right now. Let me go ahead and take this out for you right now and kind of show you that center of circulation. You can see with that band going around, that's the actual wind. As you can see, that's where we're seeing some of the strongest winds. That's off to the east and to the north, and especially to the northeast, to the center of circulation. So that's where some of the worst winds are. And again, this is where the folks are going to see if it were to continue its track here. As you can see, as we get up towards New Orleans here, that's who's going to see some of the worst weather there. New Orleans all the way up towards Baton Rouge. Again, this is where we're going to see some of the worst weather. This is where we're going to see big problems. Lake Pontchartrain is going to be really seeing lots of problems. Those levees, they rebuilt a lot of them, and thankfully they did. This is going to be a huge, huge chest for them. That's for sure. They're going to be testing all those as we continue to see more and more getting in there. And also look at some of the winds that we have out here in parts around Mobile Bay, already picking up some strong winds there. Strong winds also over towards Pensacola. So again, this is where we're going to see some of the worst weather. Let me go ahead and jump over here to WSI. I want to show you what's going on as far as the conditions right now. Again, right now it's only Category 1. If only we had commanded this, if we could just tell it to stay as a Category 1, but not the case. We're expecting it to go somewhere between a Category 3, even a Category 4, as you can see right now in front of me here. Sunday, 7 a.m. That is a 4 right there. That means it's a Category 4 hurricane, and winds going up to about 130, 140 as we continue our way through the rest of the morning and into the afternoon. Again, it's warming. It's all that very warm water that's causing the main problems out there as far as the bounding as it continues in that one location. Let me get this back down here, my cursor, because I do want to move on a little bit farther here. Getting a little bit closer, you can see exactly where it is in the morning. It's say 7 a.m. Where the exact spot is not, it's not going to wait for that. 7 a.m., you're already going to be getting pounded by some of those big storms. In fact, already seeing some pretty heavy showers, as you can see, right along the coastal sections of Louisiana right now. And again, 7 o'clock in the morning, about 130 mile per hour winds. Now, it's right in between. Somewhere right along there, you've got a lot of small islands that do jut out. So technically, you could say the actual center would move onshore somewhere about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You could say it was 2. You could say it was 7. It doesn't matter to me. You could say that it was midnight. It's okay. You can say whichever one you want. What matters is people have used this time to get themselves to safety and to batten everything down and be ready for this. That's the big thing. So don't focus on whether it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, whether it's 6 o'clock in the evening. It's the same thing. You've still got a major hurricane moving in. So again, you can say it, you can concentrate, and that's fine. I'm not going to say don't do that, but be aware. Whether it's 7 o'clock in the morning or midnight on Sunday, you're going to be getting pounded by tons of rain, flooding rain, and you're going to see those big winds coming through, causing all those problems again. So let me get in advance right now to the rest of the time. In fact, by Monday, 7 a.m. tomorrow, Monday morning, it will lose its strength pretty quickly as it moves through parts of Louisiana, heading up towards Alabama. Even Arkansas going to be getting involved in this too as we go through Monday. So it's not going to be able to hold together as far as that goes, but that means it's going to have a lot of winding down to do, and unfortunately, that means all that wind's got to go somewhere, and it's going to be tearing things up, unfortunately, as it goes towards shore here as we go through the latter half of our Sunday afternoon and into Sunday night and Monday morning. So again, here's the official track right now, and again, still going to cause some problems even up in the Tennessee Valley as we head in towards Tuesday and Wednesday. So again, lots of activity going to be going on over the next couple of days. Okay, let's talk about those watches and warnings. We are talking about serious problems out here because we have those hurricane watches in effect from New Orleans, like Pontchartrain, all the way down towards Grand Isle, and then all the way back over to the west of there, just about to the edge. In fact, of you can even see Houston kind of off the edge. It's not going to be getting involved in that, but Houston will be seeing a lot of folks evacuating that way because really the safest place to be when you are evacuating, if it's you're along I-10 and you are talking about, look to yourself, do I go over towards Pensacola or do I go towards Texas? I would go with Texas. The reason why? Because even if it were to scoot a little bit more to the west, you're still going to be on the better side, I'll call it that, when you're on the west side, because it's not going to be as strong in the winds on the west side. It won't be as devastating as it will be on the east, and that's why you don't really want to be going and evacuating to the east. That or go north and then scoot off towards the northwest and just try to stay away from that track itself. So again, we are talking about plenty of those warnings. We have some problems already up there. In fact, flash flood watches already in effect. Pensacola, Destin, eventually heading our way all the way over towards Apalachicola as we continue the rest of today and into tomorrow. We're going to see big problems as far as that goes. Now, here's what we have to talk about, unfortunately. We're talking about storm surge problems big time. And that's going to be from the center of circulation where it does make its way onshore, the eye, and that's going to be, again, bound Grand Isle. And then New Orleans, you can see it once again, New Iberia, and then all the way off towards New Orleans. It's like, as I was showing you, that whole area right there, up to 10 to 15 foot surge right there. That's going to be where some of the worst is going to be, right exactly there. And unfortunately, it is very obviously barely above sea level there. In fact, even below sea level, if you haven't paid attention to that before, in actual downtown New Orleans. So it's big problems there. So again, we've got big problems there. 7 to 11 foot problems out there on Lake Pontchartrain. So that's why we have to hope that we see those levees holding up once again. So again, lots of people are being evacuated from that area. And then we have that all the way back over towards Biloxi, as you can see, towards Biloxi, right along the coast there. They're looking at least 5 to 10 feet seas there. So again, the storm surge is going to be huge, all the way over to just almost getting all the way over to Pensacola. But even if it's not going to be one of the biggest places, they're still going to see some problems even along the Pensacola area and back down through the rest of the panhandle of Florida as that storm continues to gather strength. And as Ida gets a little bit stronger, it's also going to get a little bit wider and a little bit larger. And that's why we're going to see some big problems along the coastal sections of the Gulf Coast all the way around. In fact, we're already seeing some problems out there as far as the infrared picture showing. The big problems out there are already beginning to move their way back over here towards the Florida panhandle. Tampa, Clearwater, you're picking up some of those outer bands. Not going to be nearly as bad as it is, of course, obviously closer towards the center of circulation where the eye is. However, still going to see some problems kind of skirting around the Florida panhandle and then moving their way up towards, again, Louisiana. So that's where the big problems are going to be. As far as the European model, taking you through there right now, as far as the timing goes, we're, again, still maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But as I said, it could come in at 2. It could come in at 4. It could come into 6. Any of the above, it does not matter. You would better already be ready for this storm as it moves its way. You've either evacuated or you've gotten yourself ready. You have all your supplies and you are set and ready to at least batten down everything, because we are talking about a huge storm as it moves its way through. And there it is. It's expected to move up towards Jackson and eventually through parts of Mississippi, back through parts of southeastern Arkansas, and eventually up towards the Tennessee Valley, as I mentioned, as it moves its way through. So hopefully it'll move quickly, but it is going to take a little bit of time before it does get out of the southeast. Here's a look right now at the HRF, and again, we are looking at that also moving just about the same. We're talking about that landfall moving its way right along the coast just south of New Orleans, eventually off towards the southwest of downtown New Orleans. That's where we're expecting this to make its landfall there. Again, during the afternoon, this one going kind of scooting into those islands right there about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So again, that's one of the big things that we're watching very carefully. Again, big problems there as it moves its way through. So we're seeing all those models. Normally the models decide on things differently. They kind of split. As you know, we call them spaghetti models for a reason, because they almost look like spaghetti sometimes because they're all over the place. These ones are very adamant about keeping it in the general same locations. And again, rainfall, boy, are we talking about tremendous amounts of rain. We could see up to 10, 15, even 20 inches of rain in about a day or so in some locations. So we're going to see massive flooding across parts of Louisiana, that's for sure. And as you can see, some of the bright colors there stretching all the way over towards Pensacola, Destin, and again, kind of fades off pretty quick. But boy, I tell you what, if you are over there, over from anywhere from just about Pensacola back through Mobile Bay, all the way back out through parts of Mississippi here, and then all through parts of Louisiana, obviously, going to be looking easily over 7 inches of rain coming up over the next day or two. In fact, most areas will see double digits, so it's going to be a huge problem. The better news is as it gets up towards the Tennessee Valley, it'll kind of lose its punch, and at least that will be a little bit of a break as far as that's concerned as we go through there. Let me just kind of scroll through here and see what I can see going on as far as folks out there. A lot of folks are paying attention. I'm so glad to see everybody on here, because that's exactly what we need. We don't need any heroes out there. We have people out there. We have Aaron down there. And the reason that we have people out there, we may even have Matt down there too, eventually, maybe later sometime tomorrow. And the reason is that they're out there for one reason. Yes, they're out there to get us a shot and tell the picture and kind of give us the picture about what's going on with all of these folks and what they're doing to keep themselves safe, whether it's sandbags, whether it is evacuation. They're getting shots of that. They're showing you how important it is. So they're educating you, and that's exactly what we're trying to do, is we're trying to educate you about exactly what you have to do to keep yourself safe. A lot of folks, they love weather. Lots of people will love weather. Yes, I love weather. But the thing is, there comes a point where you have to be ultimately too careful. You have to be super, super careful and take the precautions with things like that. Leave it to the professionals. Leave it to people that have the equipment and know exactly where they can go to keep themselves as safe as they possibly can. Don't just be running out there and going, oh, I'm going to go run out in the middle of a hurricane. No. It's not smart. Yes, it's exciting. I will not take that from you. It's one of the reasons I became a meteorologist a long time ago, is that I get excited by strong and severe weather. I'm fascinated by it. I don't want to get struck by lightning, but I love to see it. And I like to see where it goes, what it does, and things like that. That's the same as these hurricanes, especially when they're this strong. We use people such as meteorologists and such as spotters, such as anybody out there, storm chasers. We all get together. We all use each other's information to keep each other safe, and then give that information and keeping the regular people, as I call regular, the public. We want to keep you safe. We don't want to hear any fatalities or anything like that. You got to be very, very careful. And I'll get to those just in a second. But one of the things I want to say, even after this hits, even after this comes through, for goodness sakes, there's so many people, unfortunately, that get injured or even killed after the storm when they go out and they start picking up stuff and they look at what they think is a big stick. It's a live power wire, or they run their generator. And where do they put it? Well, they want to keep it safe. They don't want anybody to take it. I completely understand that. Hopefully you have something you can lock it to outside. Don't put it in your garage. Don't put it near your back door. Don't have it close to this house at all. Carbon monoxide kills people. It's a fact. And that's one of the things you have got to pay attention to. Okay, I don't mean to get on my, I got to get off of my soapbox for this, but please, 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 please be careful. Even after the storm, it's up to you to keep you and your family and your friends and your neighbors safe. Don't do anything silly. If you want to clean up, by all means, feel free. If it looks dangerous, let the professionals do it. Take your time. Don't forget, you're going to need plenty of water. You're going to need food also. You're looking at a long time without power. When back in 2004, the first one that hit us here in Orlando was Charlie. I live downtown. Everybody was like, oh, well, we don't live downtown. So, I was out of power for 8 days. 8 days. And I could walk to where I was at the TV station at the time. And so basically, just because you live in a certain area, don't expect someone's going to come and give you your power after a day. You could be out a week. You could be out 2 weeks. You could have about 3 weeks, especially in the outlying areas. You got to prepare. Today's the last day. This is it. You got to get everything together. So, okay, I will stop there. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to make sure everybody understands the severity of what's going on out there. Make sure you're calling people and make sure they're doing it. If you have people that in New Orleans, they kind of take things maybe a little bit too flippant. They're probably like, oh yeah, there's a hurricane. Who cares? We'll be fine. Please call them up if they're a friend or if you know them and try to contact them and say, listen, no, you don't get both. There's no bonus points for staying in the middle of a hurricane and risking your life, because people are not going to be out there to come save you. Once it gets to a certain point, even the emergency vehicles, everything, nope, it's closed. It's done. You have to save yourself. No one's going to come save you when you're talking about a Category 3 or a Category 4 hurricane. So you've got to take care. Okay, I'll stop right there, probably, but I probably won't. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Sandy. Sandy was just saying, thank you for reminding me. I mean, there is so much, actually. I could probably go on for 2 hours, and you guys would be like, he's been going for 2 hours. We need to make him stop. But there's so much information. There's so many different aspects that you have to be aware of when you're talking about hurricanes. One thing that Sandy hit, which is perfect, don't forget about the pets. It really is. They depend on you. And wow, that's absolutely fantastic, because that is one thing. And I remember talking about that when we did our big hurricane special earlier in June. I did pets. That was one of my big thing. And the big thing you've got to be able to have a place, an interior room, almost like the warnings we give you and the information when it comes to when we talk about tornadoes, things like that. That you should have a room that's dedicated, no windows, interior. It's held up well. It's got a lot of different things. 2x4s, 4x4s would be best. But I have a place in my mind. It's actually underneath the stairs because it's 2 stories. So it's inside a huge closet. It's got all these different pylons, things like that, 2x4s that hold everything up, because you have to have that weight coming up the stairs. So it's the perfect place that I think to keep my pets and my wife, if she's still there. So with the pets, make sure that you have them taken care of. They can't do it themselves. They're going to count on you. They may not like to be inside their kennel, if it's a dog or even a cat. Hopefully it's a big one. But they may not be happy to be stuck inside of a kennel while the storm's coming through because they're scared. They've got to be in there. You don't want them running because they could get scared and they could run from where you're keeping them. They could run out of the house and you can't go running after them. You can't risk your life for your pets. I'm not saying do everything you possibly can to save your pets. That's for sure. Don't risk your life for things like that. I love my 2 cats, 2 dogs, a bearded dragon. I've got a ton of animals. Obviously, I love animals. But that's why I put them in a safe place so I don't have to worry about them escaping and then me having to worry about them. Keep them somewhere safe. Make sure you have plenty of food, plenty of water. You need water for yourself. You need it for your pet also because you're going to be talking about losing water in many locations because of that. And then when it does come back on, you may have to boil your water. And if you're not ready for that, you're going to have to find a way to boil it. But again, this is all afterwards. This is all what I'm talking about is before. Just keep yourself and keep your pets all safe out there. So again, lots of things going on there. That is for sure. Let me see what else we got here. We actually have some people that looks like they're actually talking about how nice it is to go to New Orleans, and we're talking about rice and beans, things like that. And I got to say, New Orleans is a fantastic city, town, however you really want to call it. It's its own little entity. It's very different. But it's one thing. They have already experienced what happened with Katrina. Tomorrow, 16 years. So. Sorry, that always gets me every time. Okay. 16 years should teach you a lot. And I think it has with the people in Louisiana and in New Orleans. So, okay. I'm not bringing that up again because it always gets me every time. So anyway, okay, let's see. So no power, no window. Some people have experienced things like the winter storms. They were just talking about the winter storm problem we had in Texas. So that's one thing. The same way that you prepare for winter storms is the same thing with hurricanes. Make sure that you have the amount of food you need. Be ready to lose power. Make sure everything is settled down and everything is prepared. And that's what you have to do right now is make sure that everything is definitely prepared. Let me scroll up a little bit more. All right, let's see. Oh, here's another one from Penny. Penny, thank you. Actually, Penny was just talking about about the homeless people. It's the same thing. That these are all things that I wish I could answer. Every single question about like that. About what are they doing with the homeless people because I can't say what it is because every single municipality, every city, every town is going to be dealing with this, and they're the ones that have to go to. So you have to pay attention to what's going on specifically with what your people are saying, your civil defense people, your FEMA people, things like that. They're the ones that you have to pay attention to. I can't be the one that tells you, yes, you need to evacuate. Because I don't know where you live. I don't have your address. I can't say for sure. Thank you very much, Damien. Damien, you gotta love. You gotta love. We have got the greatest team. Even though I'm the one that you may see, and Leslie and Mike and everybody, but we have our editors and boy, I tell you what, Damien and Matt, fantastic. They do a great job. And he just told me that it has been upgraded to a category 2. So again, we have new stuff coming in right now. So let me actually scroll back over here. And it's just a MyRadar app. Good man. Thank you. I tell you what, that is exactly why I always kind of harp on this when we first start. I just tend to harp on a lot of things. I'm sorry about that, but I try to make sure I get as much information in there because even if you only remember 5% of what I talk about, hopefully it's the 5% that helps save you. And so sorry if I talk too much, but here's basically again here we are. MyRadar, and here's the latest that just came in again with Ida. 100-mile-per-hour winds. I could easily go to any other place to do that, but this is the quickest way. It instantaneously tells you it has been changed, and you click it, and there's your information for you. So it's right here. You didn't have to do anything. Oh, goodness. Love having this, that's for sure. So unfortunately, up to 100-mile-per-hour winds. So again, jumping up very quickly. So as we get in towards 5 p.m., when we get up towards 8, when we get up towards 11, it's going through that very warm water right now. And that's going to be the big problem that we have as we progress our way through the day. So don't pay attention to what it is right now because it's not going to stay like this as we go through the next day and a half. So yes, pay attention to the fact that it's up to 100-mile-per-hour winds. In other words, it's not a small hurricane already, and it's going to keep gathering strength. At least that's what's predicted, and it does look like that's going to happen. All the ingredients are there. It's like baking a cake. We got all the ingredients, and it's being churned right now. And so basically, unfortunately, all indications are this is going to continue 130, 140, unfortunately, with miles per hour. So, again, big storms out there. So, again, 100-mile-per-hour winds. So, we're here right now as it is now a Category 2 hurricane is expected, again, to move its way right on through that general area. So, again, we are talking about everything kind of, unfortunately, coming together as here's the track. So, there's New Orleans, as you can see if you're looking at the app, either with me or just in your own hand. And you can see exactly how close it is right there. And it's going to be on that horrible east side, and especially the northeast side. As it's moving in, it's going to be pushing all of that water with that counterclockwise spin. It's going to be pushing all of that water right up into the islands. It's going to be right up towards Lake Pontchartrain. Going to be a huge problem out there. May even be upping some of those numbers, in fact, with some of that right now. In fact, would not be surprised to see that go up more and more as we progress our way to the day. I would say the closest that we'll get to the actual numbers as far as what goes on will probably be 11 o'clock tomorrow morning, because after that, there's not much else people can do. It's too late to even do that. And a lot of people will probably be out of power already, so they're going to be make their phones and things. In fact, okay, another thing I need to tell you about and remind you at least, don't forget to have something to charge your phone. Got to have it. Definitely want to have what's going on as far as that goes. Have some coffee if you can, because right now is the time to actually do that. And I will have some right now, thank you. But again, this is something you have got to have, little things like that, because people are going to try to call you. They're going to be so concerned about you if you do stay, if you do not evacuate. Even if you evacuate, you may get stuck somewhere where you're not able to get actual charges for your phone. So you have to have a way to charge your phone. That's for sure. If you are staying put and you are staying, make sure you are contacting all your folks, everybody, friends, family. Make sure you let them know that you're safe, and let them know more than likely you're going to lose power, because a lot of folks in Louisiana are going to be losing power, as I mentioned, for a while, quite a long time, in fact, in some locations. So again, let them know you're safe. If you're staying, tell them you will call them as soon as you can, and it may be a long time before you can do that. So a lot of people are going to be worried about you. That's going to be one of the biggest problems out there. So again, boy, I tell you what, it's Category 2 now. It's already beginning to move its way up to those higher levels right now. So a huge mess. That is for sure. You know, being from Florida, I was born and raised in Florida. So yes, I've actually, I've seen enough hurricanes, been through enough hurricanes. But when I say I've been through a hurricane, I have not been in a Category 3 or a Category 4 in the eye or near the eye. I have not been like that. I luckily have never had to worry about evacuating. I haven't been hit by that part of a hurricane before. If a 3 or 4 was heading towards us, I would be evacuating. I definitely would. Even though I love to see weather and experience it, that is not the kind of weather you want to experience. You really don't. No, it's too dangerous. That is for sure. Let's see. Anyway, for Texas, there will be some of it wrapping around. But again, it looks like the heaviest stuff is going to be right along the edge. You'll probably see some around Houston. But I don't think you're going to see as many problems there. But again, the one thing, and I'm glad you actually asked that. Let me see if I can jump back. Where were you? Oh, there you go. Okay. Cute cat girl. You know, I like that. Cute cat girl. There you go. Cute cat girl. She was asking about Texas. And again, we're still going exactly by what it looks like, what's going to happen as far as the track. It does look like it's going to be on that west side of that high, and it looks like it will be making that turn from the northwest to eventually the north-northwest, and then to the north right after it moves its way onshore. However, if for some reason it weren't to turn and stayed more just straight northwest, it would be closer towards Lake Charles and maybe a little bit closer towards Houston. Again, most likely not going to happen. However, you can't rule it out. That's a hurricane. It doesn't have a phone. It doesn't call us. It doesn't care what we think. It doesn't care what we think is going to happen, because it's on its own. It does what it wants to do. We just use the information that we have to give the best informed decisions and tracks that we can. And that's one of the big things I was mentioning, people that are going there and getting information and showing us what's happening. It's that education. It's that ability to get better. We need to be better. I've been, I'll admit, for over 30 years, I've been a meteorologist. Yeah, I've been a long time. I have learned so much, and the more I learn, the more it's one of those things when you do anything, when you first start, you think you know everything. You come out of college, you think you know everything. The more you learn about hurricanes and about severe weather, the more you know you don't know everything about it. There is always something different in there. There's always question marks. And that's what makes it fascinating, and all doesn't make it scary, but it just shows me that I always have to be on top of this. And that's what we have to do. And that's hopefully what we're doing is keeping people on top of it. I can't control it. I can't turn it. I can't make it less strength, the strength less. I can't do anything about it. All I can do is do my best to give you information so you can make decisions based upon where you are and where you might be. That is what I'm hoping for you guys. Obviously, if you're not anywhere close to it, you don't have to worry about it. Central Florida, Orlando area right now, I don't have to worry about it coming here. I have to worry about people, though, over here in Louisiana. I have to worry about people that are evacuating. I have to worry about people going down I-10 right now through the Panhandle, heading there. I can't drive for them, but I can give them the best information I can with that. They can pull out, not while they're driving, but while maybe somebody somebody else from the family or friends that are with them, they can pull out their app and they can say, okay, it's 100-mile-per-hour winds now. You can pull up the radar. Obviously, use the radar, for Pete's sakes. Please do, especially when you're driving. Watch out for these pockets, these bands that are getting a little bit closer. You're going to see some pockets of very heavy rain out there on I-10 especially, I-20 eventually. And basically, you want to avoid some of those big storms. If you see a huge band coming in and you're right near a rest area or some place that you can stop and exit area, you may just want to stop. You may just want to stop the evacuation for, a half an hour, even an hour or something. Just find somewhere to just sit, let that band go by, and then get back on the road and continue. You don't want to be stuck with those bands with those really heavy rains coming down. So again, it's so important. Keep it handy. It's right here. It's right here. It's in your phone. Keep that phone super handy. Keep this handy because you're going to want that for sure. And again, we have the information for you. We just need you to look at it and to say, okay, it's time to look at this radar where those storms are. Okay, let's see. So someone who actually wrote Andrew out. Boy, Andrew. I tell you what, put a shipping. In a shipping container. There you go. Okay, he was in a shipping container. Perfect. It's about one of the only safe places you could be with Andrew. And again, it's amazing. And then you can feel the pressure with his ears. Wow, I tell you what, Andrew is one of those things. We have learned a lot since Andrew. That was when I basically started television, being a meteorologist, 92, and I was at a Home Depot, and I had planned this like a month and a half beforehand. And I went to a Home Depot, and they wanted me to do a little talk and present, and hand out tracking charts and things like that. Shows you tracking charts, kind of funny. But basically, I went from just an easy weekend where I was going to go do this. All of a sudden, Andrew, instead of turning and staying offshore like it's supposed to, notoriously, the way that Andrew was tracking, it was on that perfect, edge where it was going to start to turn northwest, going to get hooked up by that high, the Bermuda High, and it was going to stay and eventually go to the north, and it was going to stay just offshore. We were all going to go to the beach, go surfing, have a good time, and say, yay, it brought surf to us, and it's not hurting anybody. Perfect. Unfortunately, Andrews did not change. It did not change its movement. It went straight. It doesn't do that. And again, that's one of those things. These things can do odd things sometimes. And Andrew was one of those times it did. And again, people were not able to evacuate because we didn't have the information as much as we do now. So yes, there were some evacuations, but not all the areas that could have been, which they would be now. So again, we have learned a lot, that's for sure. And if you have experienced anything like this in the past, know that we are doing our best to be better at what we do. And we'll give you the information, and we're kind of hoping that you listen to what we're trying to do, and that's just to help you. We're not saying that you have to do anything. We are not making you do anything. We're just giving you the best advice that we can come up with, and you get to choose, and that's the best thing. It's your choice. Nobody's going to tell you what you have to do. Yes, there are mandatory evacuations. They physically will not come in there and arrest you and take you away. They're just going to say, okay, well, guess what? We'll come in here and unfortunately pick up your body. Or they tell you to actually put tags on your body somewhere so that they find you when they find you, unfortunately, floating. And I'm not saying this is a joke. Unfortunately, I wish it were a joke. It's not at all. They actually go by and they tell these guys and these people that are in their homes and not evacuating, especially the mandatory evacuation ones, they go there, the officers and things, and they tell them, you need to evacuate now. And if they refuse, they will say, okay, we need you to put a tag on your body so that when we have to pick up your body because you're going to die when this thing goes, if it floods. And so hopefully it shocks people into like, I hadn't thought about it like that. So I want you to be in a position where you don't have that. You're not in that position where, you don't think so. Oh, okay. All right. We've got some stuff. We're putting some more stuff together. We're going to be doing some more lives today, and obviously all day tomorrow we got stuff coming up. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time to kind of sit back, relax. We're going to be doing some more lives again later on this afternoon. We'll also, of course, have updates that we're going to be going with also. So lots of information coming in right now, and we'll give everybody a little bit of time to kind of, absorb what I was talking about before, and we will have more coming up throughout the day and especially into the day tomorrow. Otherwise, sit back, relax, have a very happy weekend. However, if you're in those positions where I was just pointing out, make sure you already have your plans underway. Thanks.